JBN, we keep you informed. Three suspects in custody following daring Maypen robbery. The Clarendon police said they have taken three suspects into custody following the daring robbery at a supermarket in Guinea Tree, Maypen on Sunday, May 26. The police's corporate communications unit said the men were picked up during an operation in the parish about 5:30 a.m. yesterday, Friday, May 31. About 9:30 a.m. last Sunday, police officers were engaged in a confrontation with gunmen after they approached a supermarket that was being robbed. Several items were seized, including motor vehicles, cash, firearm, and ammunition, as the robbers sought to make their escape. Two officers were also shot and injured during the incident. Four schoolboys among five people shot in Manchester. Manchester North Western Member of Parliament Michael Phillips has confirmed that four secondary school boys and a man were shot in the Greenvale area of his constituency on Thursday, May 30. Reports are that a game of football was in progress along Bethel Street in the community about 5:40 p.m. when men armed with handguns alighted from a Toyota motorcar and started shooting. When the shooting ended, four persons were found suffering from gunshot wounds. They were assisted to the hospital for medical treatment. Four of the injured are students from the Mile Gully, Cross Keys, and Belfield high schools. Phillips said that one of the students was released from hospital, but the other four persons are still admitted. A motive for the shooting has not yet been determined by the police. Phillips said that Greenvale, once known as a volatile community, has been relatively quiet for many years. He said that a number of social interventions take place in the area by different stakeholders, including the political directorate, churches, the community council, and the Manchester Peace Coalition. Football, Phillips said, is among the activities through which community members bond. It is really disappointing, he said, reflecting on the recent flare-up of violence. The Member of Parliament said, however, that the perpetrators are not believed to be from the area. Over 3,000 pounds of ganja seized in Manchester, men arrested. Two men are in custody following the seizure of over 3,000 pounds of ganja on Spur Tree Main Road in Manchester on Thursday. The police say the drug has an estimated street value of over $12 million. The men's identities are being withheld by the police pending formal interviews in the presence of their attorneys. The police say about 3:40 p.m. a team was conducting operations when they signaled a GMC motor truck to stop. According to the police, the driver complied. The motor vehicle was searched and 62 knitted plastic bags with several pounds of compressed ganja were found. The police say the ganja weighs approximately 3,010 pounds. The truck and the drugs were subsequently seized and the men arrested. Siaga, a nice guy, but wasn't tough enough on crime, says Adams. If former senior superintendent of police and security expert Renato Adams could have had a drink with former Prime Minister and West Kingston Member of Parliament Edward Siaga before he died on Tuesday, he would have treasured the moment. Though maintaining that he highly respects Siaga, their relationship over many years was rocky, as Adams' role as a policeman clashed with Siaga's duties as a politician. For decades, West Kingston, both during and after Siaga's time as its MP, has been deemed a haven for criminality, and yesterday Adams was adamant that the former MP did not do all in his power to stamp out lawlessness in the area. Adams recalled the 2001 incident in which he, as head of the now-defunct Crime Management Unit, along with members of his team, came under sustained heavy gunfire for hours from gunmen from Tivoli Gardens, pinning down the cops inside a high-rise building. The gunfire ceased for a short moment when Siaga showed up to offer the officers safe passage out. Adams turned down the offer, and when Siaga left, the gunfire resumed. 27 citizens lay dead at the end of the standoff. I refused because I wasn't sent there by Mr. Siaga. I was sent by the Jamaica Constabulary Force to take away the drugs and guns, as well as to execute warrants and arrest wanted men. We were obstructed by him. Sometime after, I sent a message to say I was only doing my job as a policeman. He replied to say, Mr. Adams, you do your work as a policeman, but remember that I'm a politician. In other words, he had to say, appear to be sane and do certain things to appease his constituents. He continued, if it were possible, I would still love to drink a beer with him. I have one of the greatest respect for him. He has done great things for Jamaica that set us on the path of development. but he has also done many bad that have retarded us over the last 30 to 40 years. He was instrumental in the construction of garrisons in Jamaica, and garrisons were not necessary for the development of the country. Adams said garrisons exist to enslave the people and deprive them educationally, psychologically, and otherwise. They are not able to express their wishes as they ought to be doing. They are restricted. Over the 40 years I was in the police force working with him, he had never given me the impression that he really wanted crime and criminals to be dealt with, other than a time when he sent 13 names to the commissioner's office of criminals he wanted out of West Kingston, including that of Christopher Dodos Coke, the retired cop said. Apart from that, he was a nice guy. All my observations of him are not personal. He was a leader who, when you were in his presence, you felt, saw, heard, and knew his leadership. He wasn't like these leaders nowadays who, if they are not on a platform, you don't see or feel them. A leader must be forceful, dynamic, and people must understand what you're about and must comply with what the leader requires, consistent with moral considerations, Adams added. During his policing years, Adams was emblematic of the tough street cop, much revered among the masses, but whose checkered past of multiple fatal shootings drew fire from human rights and civil society groups. Almost $18 million worth of cocaine seized at Port Bustamante. The police's Narcotics Division and Border Protection Unit of the Jamaica Customs Agency are probing the discovery of almost $18 million worth of cocaine at the Port of Kingston. The agency says the 10 packages of cocaine weighing 12 kilograms were discovered in 8 parcels at the port on Thursday. The parcels were inside an import container that was searched during an operation. According to Customs, the cocaine has an estimated street value of $17,688,000. No arrests were made in relation to the seizure. Armed robbers pulled off another heist in Junction. Less than 2 weeks after heavily armed men staged a multi-million-dollar robbery at the in-town supermarket in Junction, St. Elizabeth, robbers have struck again in the once sleepy town. On Wednesday, the gunmen targeted the Western Union outlet in Junction during broad daylight and made off with approximately $50,000 in cash. The Constabulary Communications Unit has confirmed the incident. The police report that about 3:30 p.m., armed men entered the financial institution and held staff and customers at gunpoint. The robbers demanded cash from the tellers, and the money was handed over from a cash till before the men made good their escape. No one was hurt in the incident. Again, the robbery took place in close proximity to the police station in the town. Residents of the town center have been living in fear and have complained that strange men have been seen in the town and its environs. The residents believe that the strange characters have migrated from Western Jamaica, which is now under a state of emergency, and have transferred their nefarious activities to the south of the island. They do not have to take the main roads. They can come easily through the hills. Remember that there's a state of emergency in Westmoreland, which is the neighboring parish to St. Elizabeth. There has been a series of robberies in recent times of shops and bars and supermarkets in the general area, one resident said. The residents have also called on the police high command to place their focus on that section of the parish, as the police there are said to be under-resourced and in need of more personnel and crime-fighting equipment. The police in Junction look like them helpless to keep the criminals at bay. We need more police down here before lives are lost. Mr. Commissioner and Mr. Minister of National Security, please assist us here in Junction and the surrounding districts. We are under the gun, another resident said. TAJ attendant convicted over stolen motor vehicle registration certificate. Commissioner of the Revenue Protection Division at the Finance Ministry, Cranston Morgan, is cautioning members of the public to ensure that they conduct business with the specifically designated officers within the Tax Administration Jamaica, TAJ. Morgan says there are avenues available to the public to solve any challenges. The appeal came in light of the conviction of 55-year-old TAJ attendant Winston Bob Hastings, who stole and later sold a motor vehicle registration certificate. Hastings was found guilty of obtaining money by false pretense, receiving stolen property, and 2 counts of possession of revenue paper before being duly issued for public use last Friday in the St. James Parish Court, and is to be sentenced on July 25. On that date, he is expected to answer to 2 charges of breaching the Corruption Prevention Act arising from the same matter. In a statement, the division explained that the matter began in 2013 after officers from the agency were called to attend to a customer at the Montego Bay Revenue Service Center in St. James who was doing a motor vehicle transaction. It was further explained that investigations revealed that the expired motor vehicle registration certificate presented by the customer belonged to a batch of revenue paper which had been reported lost from the stores of the TAJ. The agency's subsequent investigations revealed Hastings as a person with whom the owner of the vehicle will entrust his documents for processing. It said a search of Hastings' house revealed him to be in possession of a blank provisional driver's license that had not yet been issued from TAJ stores. He was subsequently arrested and Seaga's body arrives on Sunday. The body of the late former Prime Minister Edward Seaga is scheduled to arrive in the island from Miami on Sunday, June 2. Seaga's remains, draped in the national flag, will arrive on a Caribbean Airlines flight at the Norman Manley International Airport, escorted by members of the Jamaica Defense Force. Family members, including widow Carla and daughter Gabrielle, will be on the flight. The body will be received by the government with the appropriate honor guard in place. On hand will be Governor General Sir Patrick Allen, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, members of the Cabinet, Leader of the Opposition Dr. Peter Phillips, members of Parliament and relatives of Seaga. Seaga, Jamaica's fifth Prime Minister, died in hospital in Miami on May 28. He was 89 years old. A period of mourning is to be announced and condolence books have been opened at locations across the island, including the Office of the Prime Minister in Kingston and Montego Bay, municipal corporations, Gordon House and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. People overseas will have the opportunity to sign condolence books, which will be opened at all diplomatic missions. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.